Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain people seem to pull money toward them like magnets, almost without effort, while you break your back every single day just to stay in the same place? It isn't luck, it isn't who they know, it isn't even hard work the way most people talk about hard work. There's something else happening underneath, something older and quieter than any financial advice you've ever been given. There's an ancient Hebrew practice so powerful that certain wealthy families have carried it quietly from generation to generation for more than 3,000 years. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can begin using it yourself, starting before the sun rises tomorrow. My name is Rabbi Solomon. For 4 decades now, I've been buried in the hidden wealth teachings of the Talmud and the Kabbalah. My grandfather was a rabbi who served his community in Jerusalem. His own father taught these same mysteries back in a small village in Eastern Europe, long before the war reshaped everything. This wisdom has traveled through 7 generations of my family, from candlelit rooms in cold countries to synagogues on sunlit streets, and it has never stopped being true. What I'm about to share with you is not philosophy, it is not sentiment, it is a working method that has quietly rearranged thousands of lives across countries, continents, and religious backgrounds. Now, I want you to listen very carefully, because what I'm going to describe works so powerfully that when you apply it correctly, the first signs can appear within a single day, not a month, not a season, hours. But you have to stay with me to the very end, because if even one piece of this is missing or misunderstood, the whole thing collapses. This isn't a shortcut, it's a sequence, and the sequence matters. Just this week, I've been reading about the tremors running through the global economy, banks tightening their lending, grocery prices climbing again, ordinary decent people sitting at kitchen tables trying to stretch paychecks that no longer stretch. The world has a frightened feeling to it right now, and that fear is contagious. But here's what the old rabbis understood, in a way the modern world has almost completely forgotten. Your external circumstances are not what decide your prosperity. Your alignment with the deeper spiritual laws is what decides it, and the method I'm about to teach you creates that alignment almost instantly. I first learned this practice when I was 12 years old. My grandfather called me into his small study one evening, not long after the Sabbath had ended, and the Havdalah candle had been pressed into a saucer of wine. The room smelled the way it always smelled, like old leather bindings and faint beeswax. He looked at me with those pale, patient eyes of his, eyes that always seemed to be reading something just behind your face, and he said something I have carried with me every single day since. He said, "The hand is the vessel through which blessing enters this world. What you mark upon it before the sun rises decides what flows through it all day long." I didn't understand him. I was a boy. I thought he was speaking in riddles. But then he opened one of the old books from his shelf, its pages yellowed at the edges, and he showed me passages that had been studied by Kabbalistic masters for centuries. He told me that this was not superstition, this was not folk belief, this was a practical spiritual technology, something that had helped our people rebuild from ashes after every persecution, every exile, every catastrophe history had thrown at them. And he made me promise, with his hand on my shoulder, that when the time came, I would pass this knowledge on to others who were finally ready to hear it. For most of my life, I kept this quiet. I only taught it to a small circle of students who had earned the right through years of study. But something has shifted in the world recently. I see good, honest people drowning in financial fear, not because they are foolish or lazy, but because nobody ever told them there was another way. And I cannot, in good conscience, stay silent any longer. I was 23 the first time I personally experienced what this practice can do. I had just finished my rabbinical training, and I was flat broke, not struggling, broke. I owed money on my education. My rent was already past due. I genuinely did not know how I was going to eat the following week. I had done everything a sensible young man was supposed to do. I had applied for positions. I had asked relatives for small loans. I had prayed in the ordinary ways. Nothing moved. The silence was almost unbearable. And then, one sleepless night, I remembered what my grandfather had shown me in that little study when I was a boy. I thought, what is the worst that can happen if I try it? So I did. I followed the method exactly, the same one I'm going to walk you through today. I wrote the sacred symbol on my palm before the first light. I spoke the ancient words slowly. I held the intention the way he had taught me. And within 2 days, I am not exaggerating, the ground shifted beneath my feet. A man I had not spoken to in nearly 4 years telephoned out of nowhere and offered me a teaching position I had never applied for, at a salary more than double what I needed to survive. That same week, one of my largest debts was quietly paid off by an anonymous donor whose name I have never been able to discover to this day. Opportunities began coming at me as if a door I hadn't known existed had suddenly been unlocked from the other side. That was the moment I understood. This is not old poetry. This is real, usable spiritual law. Now you might be asking yourself a fair question. Why would this actually work? Let me explain find something that the rabbis have understood for thousands of years. There are universal laws governing abundance, and these laws existed long before money was invented, long before banks, long before any economic system human beings have ever built. These laws operate regardless of whether you believe in them, the same way gravity does not ask for your belief before it pulls an apple from a branch. The ancient sages discovered these laws through centuries of prayer, study, and careful observation of human life, and they encoded what they discovered into specific actions, specific words, specific rituals that any person of any background can use to tap into them. When you bring yourself into alignment with these laws, you stop swimming against the current of abundance. You start moving with it, and the moment that shift happens, what most of the world dismisses as coincidence or miracle begins showing up in your daily life. Here is a hard truth nobody wants to say out loud. The system you have been living inside was not designed for you to prosper. It was designed to keep you working, keep you tired, and keep you dependent on something outside yourself. You've tried the ordinary solutions. You work harder, and the bills climb faster. You save, and inflation eats the savings. You think positive thoughts, and your bank account yawns at you. None of this is your fault. These approaches fail because they are only addressing the surface of reality. They ignore the deeper layer where abundance actually originates. The Talmud teaches plainly that provision flows first through the spiritual realm before it ever appears in the physical world. If you leave the spiritual blocks untouched, nothing in the material world will change in a lasting way. You might get temporary relief here and there, but you will keep returning to the same struggle because the root was never touched. Our people understood this deeply, and it is part of why we've been able to rebuild again and again after losing everything more times than most nations have even existed. It is not secret intelligence. It is not hidden connections. It is knowledge of laws that most of the world was never taught. You've been told wealth comes from outworking everyone around you. That is, I'm sorry to tell you, a lie. After 40 years of watching these principles operate in countless lives, I can say with absolute certainty that wealth comes from alignment first and action second. Get the alignment right and the action almost begins producing fruit on its own. If you're ready to activate this old wisdom in your own life, I want you to do something simple right now. Type in the comments the words, "Abundance flows to me." Don't just read them, write them. I read every single comment personally, and I want to see hundreds of these declarations before we go further. Let me now explain the method itself. This practice comes directly from the Kabbalistic tradition, passed down by rabbis who understood the hidden relationship between the physical body and spiritual energy. Your hand, in this teaching, is not merely flesh and bone. It is the channel through which divine blessing steps into the material world. The right hand, in mystical thought, corresponds to chesed, the quality of loving kindness and generous flow. The left hand corresponds to gevura, strength and focused power. Together, they form the two pillars through which abundance moves. The window before sunrise is unlike any other hour of the day. The veil between realms is thinner then. The energy of the new day has not yet been churned by the noise of ordinary life. What you do in those sacred minutes before dawn programs everything that follows. It sets the tone the way a single note struck on a tuning fork sets the pitch for an entire orchestra. This is different from anything else you've tried because it operates at the spiritual level rather than the physical. It uses symbols and words tested across 3,000 years. It requires you to actually do something, not merely wish. And results come quickly. You do not need to be Jewish. You do not need any special training. You only need to follow the instructions exactly as I give them. Before you begin, you'll need to prepare yourself. Choose a morning when you will not be interrupted. That means waking at least 30 minutes before sunrise. I know that is a discipline. Sleep is precious, especially when you're exhausted from worry, but the results are worth the trade. Make sure you are in a calm state. If you are angry, scattered, or frantic when you wake, wait for a different morning. The inner energy you bring to this matters enormously. Set your intention with real clarity. Vague intentions produce vague results. If you want money, know what you want it for and roughly how much. Trust the process completely, even when a step seems strange. This has worked for thousands of years for more people than either of us will ever meet. You'll need a few simple things. First, a pen with black ink. Black ink has been used in sacred Hebrew writing for millennia. It represents permanence. Torah scrolls themselves are written in black ink because it symbolizes the unchanging nature of divine law. When you mark your hand with it, you are making a quiet covenant with the universe that you mean this seriously. Use a pen that writes smoothly. Do not use pencil, which can be erased and therefore symbolizes impermanence. Do not use other colors, which carry different spiritual frequencies that will interfere. here. Second, water for purification. Before any sacred Jewish practice, we wash the hands ritually. This is not about dirt. It is about clearing spiritual residue. In Kabbalah, water represents the flow of blessing pouring down from the upper realms into the physical one. Use clean, fresh water. If possible, use water that has been sitting out overnight, which has absorbed the quiet energy of the night hours. Third, a small pinch of salt. Salt has been used in our tradition for thousands of years as a purifier and a sealant. Every offering in the ancient temple included salt because salt represents the covenant between the Creator and the people. Energetically, it absorbs what is heavy and forms a protective barrier. A small pinch, preferably sea salt or kosher salt, is all you need. Fourth, a quiet space facing east. East is the direction of the sunrise, the direction of renewal. For most of the Western world, Jerusalem itself lies to the east. When you face that direction, you are aligning with the first light that breaks the darkness each day. Find somewhere private where you can be undisturbed for 15 minutes. A quiet corner of a bedroom will do. A bathroom will do. What matters is stillness. Fifth, and most important, your focused mind. The physical items are tools. Your consciousness is the actual activator. Keep your phone in another room. No messages, no glowing screens. Your complete presence is the single most important ingredient here. Now here is the exact procedure, step by step. Step 1. Wake before the sun rises. Check the sunrise time the night before, so there's no guessing in the dark. When you wake, do not touch your phone. Do not read messages. Do not look at the news. The moment you engage with the outside world, you contaminate the stillness you need. Step 2. Wash your hands ritually. Pour the water 3 times over your right hand, then 3 times over your left. As you do this, say quietly, either aloud or inwardly, I wash away everything that blocks abundance from reaching me. I purify this vessel to receive blessing. Feel the water clearing not only your skin but the heavier energy around you. Picture darkness falling away and clean light taking its place. Step 3. Face the east and center yourself. Standing or sitting, take 7 slow, deep breaths, counting each one. With each exhale, let go of tension, worry, and doubt. With each inhale, draw in fresh, clean energy. After 7 breaths, you should feel noticeably steadier. If you don't, take 7 more. Do not rush this. Your inner state determines the strength of everything that follows. Step 4. Write on your hand. Take your pen. On the palm of your left hand, write the Hebrew letter Gimel, which resembles a small curved stroke, almost like a figure leaning forward. Gimel is the letter associated with both giving and receiving. It is the letter of reward, of flow. If you do not know how to form the letter confidently, you can simply write the word abundance, or you can write the number 18, which in Hebrew numerology corresponds to chai, meaning life, and is considered deeply auspicious for prosperity. As you write, speak these words. I inscribe upon this vessel the covenant of abundance. As the sun rises, so rises my prosperity. As this day begins, so begins my new financial reality. Move the pen slowly. This is not scribbling a note. This is sacred inscription. Step 5. Seal with salt. Take a pinch of salt in your right hand. Bring your palms together so the salt touches what you just wrote. Say these words. I seal this covenant with the salt of the eternal promise. What divine law protects, no force can break. Let my abundance be preserved and multiplied. Hold your hands together for 30 seconds. You may feel warmth, tingling, or a subtle pressure between your palms. This is not imagination. It is the activation taking root. Step 6. Face the sunrise. If you can, step to a window or outside where you can actually see the first light. If not, simply face east and visualize it. As the first light appears, say, as this light enters the world, so does wealth enter my life. I receive now what has been prepared for me. I claim the inheritance that is mine by divine design. Feel the light washing over you, filling you with a slow, golden warmth. Picture it entering through your hands, traveling up your arms, filling your chest, and then radiating outward into your daily life. Step 7, and this final step is the one most people quietly sabotage. Release and receive. After completing everything else, you must let go of attachment to the outcome. Do not obsess over when the money will come. Do not refresh your bank app every hour. Do not interrogate every phone call. Simply trust that the mechanism has been activated and go about your day normally. The Talmud is very clear that excessive worry blocks blessing. Your job was to perform the practice. The universe's job is to deliver. Step out of its way. Within the first 24 hours, you may notice unusual sensations. A subtle tingling in the hands, a warmth spreading through the chest, a strange, unexplainable optimism that seems to arrive from nowhere. These are early signals that the energy is moving. Some people report vivid dreams involving money, gifts, or unexpected generosity. Others simply feel calmer about their finances even before anything outward has changed. Within 3 to 7 days, tangible things begin appearing. A refund you had forgotten about, a small gift from someone, an opportunity that seems to fall from the sky. Pay close attention during this window. If an old contact suddenly reaches out, if an invitation arrives out of nowhere, if money you didn't know you had surfaces, these are not coincidences. They are the first fruits of what you planted. Within 30 days, the broader transformation takes shape. The way money flows into your life will feel noticeably different. You'll find yourself thinking about finances with less fear. Opportunities will show up more often. Some people experience dramatic shifts. Others experience quieter, steadier improvement. Both are valid. Now, I must give you 3 warnings before you attempt this. First, never use this for harm. If you try to use this practice to take what belongs to others, to damage someone financially, or to gain wealth through deceit, it will turn on you. I have seen it happen. A man once came to me who had used similar practices dishonestly in business. Within a year, he had lost everything and more. Universal law does not negotiate with excuses. Second, do not skip steps. Each piece serves a specific function. The water purifies, the writing inscribes, the salt seals, the sunrise activates, the release permits the result. Remove anyone, and the mechanism weakens. Third, do not speak about this for the first 7 days. Do not tell friends. Do not tell skeptical family members. Speaking about it too early scatters the energy before it has rooted. After you see real results, you can share freely. But during the activation window, protected in silence. I went through my own hard season in my 40s. I had grown complacent, assuming that because I was a rabbi steeped in sacred texts, I was automatically aligned. I was wrong. My health dipped, my marriage strained, financial pressure climbed. So I returned to what my grandfather had taught me in that small study decades earlier. I performed this ritual every single morning for 40 days without missing one. Within a week, strange opportunities began to surface. Within a month, our entire situation had turned. A teaching contract I had never pursued simply materialized. Old debts owed to our family began arriving in the mail. Knowing, I learned again, is not the same as doing. We are living through an era of genuine uncertainty. The old paths to security, the steady job, the slow savings, the predictable retirement are crumbling for most people. But these ancient principles do not care what the economy is doing. They work in downturns. They work in booms. They work because they rest on laws older than any market. You were not designed for scarcity. You were designed for abundance. But you must activate the inheritance that is already yours. If this teaching moved something in you today, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, leave a comment telling me what struck you the deepest. Share this with one person in your life who is quietly drowning in financial fear. You may be the message they've been waiting for without knowing it. May the Creator bless you with abundance in every form. May clarity guide every choice you make. May peace settle in your heart even when the world outside feels loud. And may a prosperity beyond anything you can currently imagine begin flowing into your life starting tomorrow morning with the first light.